As far as the activities that they led to, I started to get active in every Armenian organization that appealed to me, and there were lots that appealed to me, but principal among them was the Armenian Film Foundation. We had a meeting in the 1970s between three others and myself: Dr. Agopian, Leo Garapetyan, Carla Garapetyan's father, and Miran Agbabian. Now, the three of them knew history better than I did, and in Michael's case, he knew filmmaking. I didn't know anything about filmmaking, but I saw the challenge: film these survivors before they're all gone. And so I threw myself into money raising, and I raised millions, not thousands, millions of dollars for the Armenian Film Foundation from all kinds of people. Other lawyers I did favors for. I would say to them, I know you're going to send me a case of wine, or you want to take us out to dinner. Please don't. Send me the check made payable to the Armenian Film Foundation. I was picking up checks every few days and giving them to the Armenian Film Foundation. And this fed the finances of the Armenian Film Foundation. Michael estimated at one point that I had raised $1.2 million. Then I'm sure it went over $2 million, and maybe as high as $3 million. I was vice chairman of the board. I never stuck my nose in or my opinion on filmmaking. Michael did all of that, but it freed him from going out and getting funds because I was getting all the funds. And so we were able, I handled a case for the Milken Families Foundation. And after it was over, they paid my fee, and I went to see them, and I got $100,000 from them for the Armenian Film Foundation just by telling them that what we had discovered, this was true, by the way, what we had discovered was that the same German officers that were in Turkey during World War I, seeing the inefficient way of killing the Armenians, ended up on the Eastern Front when the Wehrmacht went into Poland, and they started killing the Jews in Poland. They needed a more efficient way, and that led to the use of gas chambers. And when I told him that, and I said, we've been able to follow those officers, the guy excused himself, went in the other room, and came back with the check, because they were so moved as a Jewish organization that we had discovered this, and now it was in the public domain. And the Shoah Foundation has all of this now as a result of what I, in effect, started. The biggest thing that happened in my Armenian nationalistic life after the Armenian Film Foundation was that an elderly gentleman came into my office to plan his will and estate. He had never married. He had an unmarried sister and a married brother, Edward Ignatius. And I planned his estate. And like all good lawyers, if I was going to be a trustee, the estate was finalized by another lawyer, not by me. And what happened was that we set up the George Ignatius Foundation, and he left everything he had in it. He thought he had about $600,000 or $700,000. I felt he had $1.5 million to $2 million. Ended up he had $5 million in his properties in Fresno and here in Los Angeles, and his carpet collection, which one appraiser told me that the Shah of Iran does not have a carpet collection as fine as George Ignatius. All this went together in the George Ignatius Foundation, and we were 3 trustees, Dikran Tervision, Michael Armenian, and myself. There was a little glitch in there when Tervision went to the federal district court appointed by Governor Reagan, and we got George Phillips in there, whose family name was Philibosian, and we became the George Ignatius Foundation, giving away under IRS rules 5% of the income annually. And that has kept us to this day, even though with the variation in the stock market, that has kept us in recent years to giving away somewhere between $170,000 and $200,000 a year to Armenian organizations. Now, we try to give everybody who asks for money some money. May not be what they think they deserve, but we try not to turn them away empty-handed. That has been very important to me because I have to pay great attention to these organizations and what they do, as does Judge Richard Armenian's successor, his son Michael Armenian, and George Phillips. So we pay attention to what our community is doing. We read all the papers, we attend many meetings, and we hand out money to help perpetuate the Armenian cause here in Southern California, in the nation, and recently in the last 10 years in Armenia as well. So I feel good about what we've done, and I think I will go down in history as the major dominating force of the Ignatius Foundation, and certainly one of the 2 trustees, Phillips and myself, who actually knew George Ignatius. Another person who knew him quite well was Archbishop Vache Osepian, typical of Vache Sirpazan. He got to know the influential people with money in our community, and he stuck his hand in their pockets quite frequently, so that it begs the old joke that I used to tell. When you die, Sirpazan, they're going to do 2 statues, one of you and one next to you of a person without a face. And that faceless person is going to represent all of us. And you're going to have your hand in our pocket. Oh, he loves that when I tell that. But it is a great leader in this country has to get money for the cause. And he was big on doing that. And I have been big on doing that all my life. I don't have any idea how much money I've raised over the years. I would venture to say the Ignatius Foundation is given away now for close to 40 years, somewhere between $175,000 and $200,000 a year. I think I'm responsible, and what I raised for the Armenian Film Foundation, for over $10 million, maybe close to $15 million, for our cause, just done by one person, dedicated. And I attribute much of that to Vache Osepian and my dear cousin Zabel Apelian, who, by the way, when she died, wanted the Yedalian on her casket in 1996. We did it, and she wanted to be cremated. We cremated her, and I brought her ashes, and I threw them in the rose garden behind me. And I thought it was appropriate. Her name was Rose. She was called Zabel by everybody. Her name was Rose, and you see I have these beautiful roses ever since. It's a great memory of her and what she left. We've just concluded the 100th anniversary, the centennial of the Armenian genocide. I'm deeply impressed by the number of people who marched. Impressed that my own son went and marched. This is somebody who's disdained these kind of protests and so forth, but he was motivated to go do it.